Before China was an empire, before emperors, before bureaucracy, China was a problem waiting to be solved. Thousands of years ago, people settled along the Yellow River, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. The land was fertile but dangerous. Floods were violent and unpredictable. Entire communities could disappear overnight. This forced an early realization: survival here required cooperation, not innovation for its own sake, not independence. Coordination. Villages had to plan together. Labor had to be organized. Flood control required collective effort. Food storage required trust. From the very beginning, China leaned toward group survival, not individual freedom. That matters. Over time, small communities became regional cultures. Bronze tools appeared. Writing developed, yet not for poetry but for record-keeping. Who owed grain? Who controlled land? Who was responsible when things went wrong? This is where early Chinese dynasties begin to emerge, not as empires but as managers of chaos. Rulers weren't powerful because they were divine warriors. They were powerful because they could organize labor, control floods, maintain food supply, keep violence contained. That is the origin story most people miss. China didn't start as a conquest civilization. It started as an administrative one. Over centuries, this approach hardened into tradition. Rituals formed. Authority centralized. Leadership became tied to results, not just bloodline. When floods came and order held, leadership was justified. When disaster struck and order failed, leadership was questioned. The seat of the mandate of heaven was already there, long before it had a name. And here's the key point. By the time China begins recording its history clearly, roughly 3,500 years ago, it already thinks in terms of continuity. Not how do we rule forever, but how do we rebuild when things break. That mindset is why China doesn't behave like Greece, or Rome, or Egypt. It doesn't chase perfection. It prepares for recovery. And that brings us to the next step. Because once chaos becomes normal, someone eventually promises to end it completely. In the next episode, we'll meet China's first emperor and see what happens when order is enforced absolutely and at enormous cost. If you enjoyed this trip down the rabbit hole, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Smart History for Dumb Times.